Hello SEOs and entrepreneurs. We will talk about ChatGPT code interpreter and how to use it for data visualization and data science in terms of the search engine optimization. Before, in our public holistic SEO communities and also on my Twitter, I shared this specific visualization. This visualization is for comparing competitor relevance to the common keywords, which means that this website here, every X here represents a website, which means that this website has like 175,000 common queries with us, and also the relevance of the competitor is really, really close to us. So it is actually helpful to understand which competitor we should focus on first and which one we should be actually outranking first. Even if you share a really good amount of queries with a competitor, it doesn't mean that actually you are relevant to them or similar to them. In this case, to be able to compete against them, you will need to actually increase the relevance together with the common queries. And it can be done basically by changing your content, optimizing it. But to keep things simple in the context of the Blue Hat SEO series, we will mainly focus on taking the data output from Ahrefs. Then we will be using this specific prompt. Then I will be giving you a more detailed sample so that you can actually see how to use ChatGPT code interpreter for data science and visualization in the context of SEO. So this is the data that we will be taking. And in this one, I will be using a different website. Basically, I come to the organic competitors. There is a visualization here already. And you see that there are different type of columns. And this is the export of these specific columns in this area. We have pages which represent the web page count. Traffic value represent the, let's say, the total value of these pages. And this is the traffic that we get from these pages. This is domain rating, which is another story. Here we actually see the targeted domains queries and the common queries together with the competitor at the same time. And these are the unique queries for the competitor. The share represent the amount of, let's say, the relevance or the similarity between targeted domain and also the specific competitor. So with that said, first, I just wanted to use actually a very, very simple version. And I will start from there, not from this specific one. So in this case, I used this specific prompt, create a correlation visualization for common query count and the competitor relevance. If you use this specific prompt, still it will be actually working. But at the same time, since I did not give any kinds of detail, this ChatGPT will be having some hard time. First of all, they will need to understand what type of UTF you are using. Then if they are lucky, or if the system is on the lucky moment, you will be finding this. And you will be able to make the data readable. Then they will be giving you the definitions of the columns so that you can understand that. Since the output will be so long, you will need to be telling continue where you left off. Then according to your command, which means that actually competitor relevance, they will need to understand from these definitions which one is closest column, and they will need to be creating this type of visualization here. According to your, let's say, the output or moment of the ChatGPT, because large language models, actually, they have a kind of greedy learning and greedy optimization method, which means they have an internal scoring system. And according to the latest situation, the highest score output might be changing. You can use the same prompt today and tomorrow, and you can get a different output from the same input. Because these greedy learning methodologies, they always change the scores to make better, but it doesn't mean that always the output will be better. So basically here we have the common keyword count here, and we have the domain rating this time. And the next time the search engine might choose something else. But again, you can use this. You can try to use this in this way. If you see that the domain rating is high, and if there is a really good amount of common keywords, you can assume that outranking this website will be higher compared to this one. That's why you can get the top pages of this specific one, and you can try to create maybe 2-3 pages to just get most of the authority of this one. Then you can move to this, and this. You can create a map, or let's say target list and prioritization. Many people ask me how to use topical authority, and I usually try to keep things simple, but if you want to prioritize the topics, sometimes you should focus on the impressions and the historical data, but also you can use this type of competitor analysis as well. And outranking this will be very much more costly for you. And in this one, you see that the query count is higher too. If you merge these two visualizations, you can even get a richer insight. But let's move on to our real prompt. So this is something that I call actually multi-layered complex prompts to actually help the ChatGPT to understand everything in one time. In the last time too, or in the last ChatGPT and Blue Hat SEO video as well, I used a prompt with the 5 sections. I defined every section's purpose, then I have given some syntax information. I told ChatGPT that there is always a comment in every section while telling its purposes, and the comment starts with this specific character. I also told the ChatGPT that these 3 quotation marks at the beginning and at the end of the specific section, it represents the borders of that prompt area. Then I tell that this is the first section of the prompt out of 5. Then I start to define the data set as I said in that area too. I give the column names so that the specific ChatGPT system can actually understand that my prompt and the data that I am giving, it is overlapping and consistent with each other. And this time I also tell what kinds of data that it will be finding under these specific sections. The R is domain rating of the competitor domain, traffic is the traffic amount of the competitor gets, traffic value is the amount of monetary value of the specific domain, let's say. And I also give specific type of file extension or file format related information like use please UTF-16 and table separator to read it so that things can get easier for them. In the second part, I tell that this section is for visualization, and here I tell that the purpose of the prompt is visualization of the relevance of these domains to our target domain and correlating it to the possible cost of outranking these competitors. Because our purpose here is to understand which domain first we should be focusing on, which one is easier to outrank, and which one is cheaper to outrank. If we are able to get results earlier, we will be able to increase our actual topical authority faster too. In this case, basically we give the purpose of the visualization. Then we explain how the system actually can use this purpose based on these columns. We tell that if the relevance is high for specific domain, it means that we are ranking together with them. And traffic value, traffic amount indicate the amount of cost that we will need to spend for outranking them. If the share percentage is low, it means that we do not rank for the similar queries. If we have too many shared queries or shared queries, it means we have relevance together. And traffic amount and amount of queries, which means keywords, and the traffic value together represent the possible cost. Now I give simple information for visualization, then here I give the comments directly. The third section of our prompt basically just gives on the specific comments for the visualization. We tell that put labels to the axis, use multi-y axis. Then we tell that represent the cost and relevance correlation between competitors and targeted domain. I tell the targeted domain is same with the domain that we are using. I also give the name of it inside the prompt. Then I give my comment. I also give the context by saying SEO observation. Then the fourth section of the prompt directly tells that the knowledge domain terms, as I stated here, the fourth section is for defining the knowledge domain terms. Then I give my knowledge domain terms here. I tell that this is the relevance, this is the definition, traffic value is this. SEO means that search engine optimization, which is a methodology to increase the rankings and overall visibility of a domain. The keyword means query, I tell, because these type of wording differences matter. I tell that DR is a basic domain authority, but it comes from Ahrefs as with a different formula. Then I tell that understand the concepts while visualizing the data for understanding the cost and relevance correlation. In the last part, we give the latest details as we stated already, like last details. In the last details section, I basically tell that, for instance, higher the competitor's keyword, the cost competing is increased. Higher the domain rating goes up, the cost of ranking goes higher too. And the amount of queries that are not shared increase the cost of ranking one more time, because it means I will need to be opening lots of new pages, or I will need to write longer, or I will need to configure these things further. I am not talking about just monetary cost, also time cost or staff cost too, because we will need more people. The amount of pages also increases the cost of ranking, because if they have too many pages, but also too many or high traffic value, it means that they have really important amount of pages, plus also all these pages actually create a value. And also if they have less pages with higher traffic value, it means that value per page is so high too, which means domain rating will be going higher together with them, or average length of the content or brand power will be going higher too. That's why I'm telling that actually we are not using ChatGPT here, we are using our brains, and we know all the knowledge domain concepts, and we correlate them with each other in a positive or negative way, understand how these things are changing with each other. And here too I say the cost of ranking is increasing together with the traffic value. Higher traffic value represents higher value and the cost. So once I put on my prompt directly, they repeat what I say in a representative way. The purpose of this section is actually helping you to see that ChatGPT whether understands you or not. That's why they always put this section here by telling stop generating the answer. And they directly tell that thank you for providing the detailed prompt. And they give the details here. They give UTF information or let's say knowledge domain terms, correlations, for instance, or other areas. And they read the data. And as you see here, they use actually sometimes my own concepts or the things that I already defined in this area too. And here they directly use our website name or these sections as well. You can also check the code. Basically, this is a simple reading. As you see, encoding UTF-16, separator is T, as I stated in my prompt, directly in the first section as well here. So it helps actually. It didn't be like that. If you look at here, it was hard for them to read it. At the beginning, it was like this. Then in the second part, they define these things. And they say, given the provided guidelines and understanding of the dataset, we can now proceed to visualize the data based on the prompt. And they repeat our section. And here they use the concept of potential cost and relevance because they are bolding these because they try to get your attention to these specific sections. Then here we actually create a kind of subplot by using actually matplotlib. And here we created actually 3 different bars, then 2 different lines. Then we use all these axes inside the same figure. We put our labels directly, then we merge them directly in these specific labels. Then we actually use specific tight layout, which means that everything will be visible at the same time. And we directly try to show it let's say under this area. And it is the good side of matplotlib. The ChatGPT is able to use it. If you will be using actual pyplot or plotly or something like that, it would not be working here. So as you see, this is the first output. And what is wrong here? The first of all, in my prompt, I did not put the logarithmic scale. That's why everything is different, or there is a huge difference between these things. Another problem is that according to the output, there are orange bars, red bars, and brown bars. But I see only the orange ones because it represents the traffic value. Since it represents the traffic value, the number is too high, but let's say the red one actually represents the page count of each domain. And if you scale, let's say 500,000 to do 180, that specific small bar won't be visible. It means that I will need to tell that the red bars and brown bars are not visible. Use logarithmic scale and do not use stacked bars in this area I tell. Since this was actually very quick feedback, this section might be a little bit skipped from time to time. That's why in specific area here, actually, I tell that please pay attention to every part of the prompt and do not skip any command. I say it especially because I also tell that every command starts with that. My purpose here is, even if the ChatGPT skips some of these, since I will be having certain type of a command here, I will force it one more time to read these things and understand these things again. I don't have this directly here, for example, but you can try to put it if you want. Once I tell the visualization is now more visible and comparable to each other, but there is also still a problem. First of all, I am a little bit colorblind, and it is very hard for me to see the difference between dark red and light red. That's why I tell one more time, please make colors more distinctive from each other. And now we have this specific visualization. So now, for data science purposes, let's interpret these together. First of all, the traffic value has been represented by the orange bar. And when I look at here, this one, which is compare the market, has actually highest traffic value. Then I check the pages and also the number here. I can tell that they have really good amount of pages too, compared to, let's say, Insurance 6Co UK, for instance. At the same time, I check this part too. This one also has high amount of pages and traffic value is close to that, which means usually the value of the traffic and amount of pages, they are correlated with each other at the same time. Then we see the DR, which is domain rating according to the Ahrefs. DR is not the metric, but for these type of observations, it is helpful. In this case, we see that actually traffic value, if it is over, let's use our visualization a little bit here. If traffic value is over this line, we usually see that domain rating is also over this specific line as well. It is like correlating with each other, like there is a kind of bottom line for both of them. And in this case, for instance, this is a little bit outlier here because the domain rating here is higher, and the page count in this area, we can see that actually it is similar to this area, but the traffic value is lower, which means that actually their success is a little bit lower compared to others. It means that maybe the domain rating is not that much real for this one, or because there is fake DR, or maybe the content is not quality enough. But still, outranking this website might be easier for us in this case because they are not that much successful as much as these. Another one is share, which is the relevance, and it is represented with this specific blue line that you see in this area. So first of all, since the numbers, if I could show the data here, the share information, the highest percentage was 27. It starts with this, which is temp cover. And then since we are using logarithmic scale, there is not that much visible difference. That's why using actually Plotly, which to create an interactive dashboard, it would be better here to hover over effects. But since we already know that temp cover was the highest, you can use these small differences. For example, I can see that actually this is lower. This has lower share compared to other one. Another option is forcing ChatGPT to write some numbers or some labels over these areas as well. Or you can force it to put this string into another bar plot to the side by side as well. But you can use this the query share percentage to understand where we are already competing together. For example, we are competing against a temp cover already, and their domain rating is actually, let's say, in the good number, and the page count is not that much bad too compared to others as well. But for instance, when you look at this one, this is lowest in terms of, again, the page count. Domain rating is very low too. But traffic value, I can tell that it is not that much low as well. When you look at here, the page count is higher compared to actually, let's say, domain rating, and traffic value is not that high, but let's say compared to the DR, it's more, but the page count is a lot too, which means there are pages that already failed there. But when it comes to here, the traffic value per page should be actually higher in this case too. The last part is the amount of queries, which represented with this green line. And in this case, you see that actually the queries for this comparator, it is too high. And in this case, we can understand that query amount per page is actually very successful here. Yes, they have more pages, but they also rank for more queries, and they share less similarity with us, which means we will need to open new pages, and they already have too many pages. Maybe we will need to be opening like 150 really good pages to be able to compete against this one. Since our DR is lower too, we will need to be focusing on, let's say, the content side a little bit more further. One more time, I am telling, if you follow me over 3 years, this video is really simple. That's why I'm using the concept of DR. In other case, I will be using lots of different type of concepts from patents, research papers, and also from my terminology, but I keep things simple for the sake of these Blue Hat series. So when I say DR, please do not buy links just based on DR metric, okay? And in this case, this is like a little bit like high level of target. And if we need to prioritize things, we can start some of the smaller ones. If we look at these other areas here, we see that actually since our share rate is a lot, also their unique query count is not that much high too, which means that even if you open new pages, we don't need to open that amount of new pages because this represents the shared query count, and this represents the unique queries, which means the difference is not too high and the page count is here, and you can get a kind of average number for yourself for the amount of pages that you will need to be opening. If the difference between blue and the green line a lot, it means that you can actually open new pages to compete against them. And based on the DR, you can get the amount of the idea of the details that you will need to be adding. And also based on the traffic value, you can get the idea of the potential gaining in this area. When you look at this one, which is RACCO UK, the unique query count is way much higher. They have way much more pages as well, but value is lower, which means they have some informational sections. to go after. And you can find these specific queries, and you can try to create a topical map from the queries and topics of temp cover to the RACCO UK, and you can create a prioritization and connection level according to the situations of the competitors and their feedbacks compared to the latest updates. You can create a different type of, let's say, content. Either like 20 minutes of video. I try to keep these things simple, but as you see, we actually use a little bit coding. We use artificial intelligence, we use ChatGPT, and we use prompt engineering, and we also use data science, data visualization, and competitor analysis for search engine optimization from internal factors and also external factors together too. The purpose here is actually helping you to improve your, let's say, daily SOPs. Heuristic SEO is mainly built for the marketers and entrepreneurs. Provide this level of information. That's why I'm telling that we are training 10 plus years of experience and entrepreneurs together with the 6 months of newbies, beginners. And these Blue Hat series are actually created for everyone. If you have further questions or the requests, please drop them to the comment section, and I will try to continue to add new videos every week. So we will see each other more. You can join to our Holistic SEO communities and the Facebook communities, Discord communities. You can follow us on Twitter. You can also join actually our newsletter as well, because here this place will be very active very soon for especially AI. You can also join our private community by joining our Topical Authority course program, as where you can join our coaching sessions, coaching group, together with the 50 other entrepreneurs. Love you all, and take care of yourself. I'll be in a class of lovely people.